and welcome to the 34th episode of Recluse Horror. This is a daily horror movie review podcast. With me again today is Sam.
Hey.
So just a little background on the project. Back 301 days ago, I decided I wanted to watch and review a horror movie every single day. I have done so, again, for the past 301 days. Although only the last 34 have been podcasts. Before that, it was text reviews. So each episode, I go over 2 movies, one of which I've watched that very night, and another that I reviewed previously in text. I just go over whatever impressions that I have left, aided by the text review. So we had a classic tonight, huh, Sam?
Yes.
Now, have you seen this one before?
No.
Okay. I believe I actually have seen this one before, but I mean, I was like a little ass girl. So, we did Frankenstein from 1931, right? It's 1931? I actually didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's 31.
Yes, 31.
Okay. Which, we might be 2 of the only people who are into horror that, don't have any strong memories about it if they have seen it or haven't, or just straight up haven't seen it.
Probably not.
No, probably not. Yeah, I guess people don't like classic horror as much these days, but still.
Especially Universal stuff is hard to find.
True. Yeah.
A lot harder than you would think. Yeah. It was much easier in the VHS days.
Yeah. Well, this one is one that's often thrown onto those DVD packs, isn't it?
No.
No, it's not? Okay. We have a regular DVD copy of it. Where did you get that?
Thrift store.
Thrift store. Okay.
All the Universal stuff, they pretty much have the rights to most of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, some of their stuff is out of it. Like, I think you can find Dracula in some of those, and maybe like the Invisible Man from Universal, maybe. Mm-hmm. But most of the Universal monster stuff, they have a pretty good, whatever they keep up on the rights on it, and whatever for whatever reasons or however reasons.
Yeah, well, I think they kind of get aided by the whole, like, Disney, every time Mickey is about to come up for, like, to go out of copyright, they lobby the government to try to extend, like, how long you can have, copyright, your IP copywritten. So I think just Universal, that 31 is just slightly after when Disney stuff is, so they never probably have to put any money towards it because Disney's already lobbying them to extend it by another 5 years by the time they get to it, so. But yeah, how did you like this one?
Yeah, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wish I liked it a little more than I did.
I kind of thought I would. Okay, so there's a reason for this, and I'll get into it later. But the story was just a little bit different than I kind of anticipated it to play out. Much like the movie, I know that I have read the book, and I have no recollection of anything that happens in that book. When I was younger, I was really, really into classic horror. I was reading, Dracula and Frankenstein and blah blah blah. And I never actually owned a copy of Frankenstein. So I owned Dracula, so I read that 20 times. I have very strong memories about Dracula, for the most part. But for whatever reason, I do not remember any of Frankenstein in any capacity, at least the originals. I have a very strong memory of Young Frankenstein. Huh, Daniel?
Yeah,
do you?
I remember Young Frankenstein.
It's the greatest movie. Oh, Gene Wilder, I miss you. Okay, so what did you think about Frankenstein's monster? Sam?
How do you mean?
What did you think about his performance, the look of him?
It was good.
Sam's very tired.
It was good. What? It was good. What's the problem? What the hell?
I did, just looking at that, I mean, they did use some, I guess, facial prosthetics or something. If you look at a picture of Boris Karloff next to a picture of the monster, even in the version that we had is, like, definitely remastered in some way. The picture quality was very sharp, but it looks incredible. Like, it's seamless. I don't know which parts of it they added. I mean, it's clear that they added the top of his head and, like, I think some of the brow ridge. Now, some of it is down to, if you look up a picture of Boris Karloff, you'll see he has very strong features. So some of it is down to that. but they definitely added some prosthetics, and it was really hard to see. Like, I didn't see where, they had a rubber mask on him or anything, like, were you impressed by the level of craftsmanship with that in 1931?
When I think about it, yeah, but it just
didn't occur to you. It's so iconic.
Yeah, it occurred to me even when I was watching it, but it's so obvious thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I think modern audiences, because they have such a clear mental picture of what the monster is supposed to look like, that they don't really necessarily appreciate it. It's just something you take for granted because you know what he's supposed to look like. But really, I think in 1931 that was a really impressive feat. The picture quality also contributed to another factor, which was their wrinkly ass matte paintings. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. Wasn't that funny?
No, I like them. Gosh.
They have like cloud backdrops and so forth, or matte paintings or whatever. I don't know. Did they call them matte paintings at that point? Like in the 30s? Okay. Well, yeah, they're backdrops.
I wasn't alive back then.
Yeah. So, they're very, very wrinkly. I have no idea whether you would have been able to see that in the theater, but they have some like cloud backdrops and things that they use. And it's funny because they get really close to those backdrops in a couple of places. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
So the dogs, they send dogs after Frankenstein's monster, and the dogs go and they're supposed to like, oh, he went that way, and like they're going like around a rock, which those looked really good too, the rocks, didn't they?
Yeah, they look super good.
Okay.
So I don't know why you're being such an asshole about this.
So they send the dogs after them or whatever, and they go and they try to, curve around the backside of this rock face, and the dogs have to slow down because they're getting too close to the backdrop. So there's another place earlier in the movie where there's somebody who's walking in, like, I think it's in a cemetery or something, and he walks really, really close to it too, but it's not as noticeable. He makes a conscious effort to like try not to look like, oh, I'm gonna walk into this fucking backdrop. So I don't know. It's just
what did you want from him, to travel to Germany and take everybody there to do it?
But you saw how big that one soundstage was where they were searching for Frankenstein's monster. You saw how big that was, but they still had to get that close in that particular area to get around the back of that. You'd think they would just reposition where they needed to go or something. Blocking.
We don't have all day. People have to do stuff. Cigars have to be smoked and
stuff.
Bourbon had to be drank or whatever they did.
Right, bourbon.
30s.
So,
all right, this is my thing about the movie.
Okay.
If I could talk now.
I kept trying to get you to engage.
Yeah, but you're saying boring stuff.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry if that was boring for everybody. I'm sorry if boring over here bored your ear off.
No, I did that yesterday.
Part 2.
Part 2? No.
I always thought this took place in not modern for the time it was made.
Yeah, not 1931.
I always thought it took place in the 1800s at some point. Mm-hmm. But as far as I could tell, this takes place in 1931.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to pin down, but like the costumes definitely looked like it. The classroom, when they go into a classroom, looked like it.
But there were gallows.
Yeah, but they had gallows.
Were they gallowing people in the 30s in Germany?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, yeah. There's a lot of anachronisms in this, but it wasn't terribly like I wasn't put off by that. But
I'm not put off by it at all. I just don't know.
No, I have no idea either. I kept trying to figure it out too. Like I would make a decision,
and it never says anywhere.
No, they never say a year or anything. And
I've never heard what time it's supposed to be in.
Yeah. What did you think of the performance of the Doctor?
Which one?
Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh. Not Doctor the other guy?
Doctor the other guy.
Dr. Helsing? Dr.
Helsing. His name is not Dr. Helsing.
Well, he plays Dr. Helsing.
Yeah.
In Dracula.
Yeah.
Edward Van Sloan.
Edward Van Sloan, yeah.
He plays Helsing and a bunch of other doctors in other Universal movies, which no one ever talks about, and he was really good.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. It was kind of a small role. Honestly, I felt like a lot of the performances were kind of like spread out.
They were very weird. They were good for the most part, if not completely.
Yeah.
But they were very spread out in between when people were doing anything. Mm-hmm. And then it seemed like they weren't sure what they were doing.
Yeah, like they didn't know exactly what movie they were trying to make in some places.
And so that's I think that's what my overall feeling of thought it was going to be better. You know? And I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting in that way. Mm-hmm. Because I really liked all the makeup. I really liked all the acting. Yeah. I really liked the look of everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, everything. The sets, all of the different types of sets and locations and everything where they filmed. I thought they were good too.
But it didn't really seem like they had an overall idea of what the movie was going to be like or was even trying to say, for that matter.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing that I was going to get to. My fundamental problem with this movie, and again, I do not remember how much of this is present in the novel, but in later iterations of Frankenstein, the monster is not the villain of the movie. The villagers who don't understand what it is and just want to kill it because they don't because they don't understand it, and they assume it's going to be a monster because, it was, because of the circumstances of its creation, essentially. But in this one, I felt like it was kind of like nobody was really the villain. The monster, okay.
It's like a big misunderstanding.
Yeah, exactly. It's a comedy of errors, only a tragedy of errors, I guess. But yeah, because the monster didn't mean to kill anybody except for the one person who, like, kind of deserved it. And nobody cared about that. And then the villagers were only like, oh no, this person's a murderer, we have to kill them. And in fact, they refer to him as, like, a person, so I'm not even sure if they knew he was a monster. Like, they never made it clear.
Yeah, they never like, this monster needs to die.
Because he's a monster. It did not even necessarily seem...
Yeah, they didn't care
whether he was a monster or a person. It was just like, this is a murderer, we need to kill him. Like, we need to get rid of him. And so, I just find... I love the version of Frankenstein that they make where the villagers are villains. They are just... it's mob mentality as a villain, because it doesn't matter what the circumstances are or why they're doing it. He must be evil. Let's kill him. And in this, it's kind of nobody. It's just like, oops.
I kind of like that about this one. Except for it wasn't. It didn't. Like I said, it didn't really seem like it had any idea of what it was that they were making. It just was like, oh, and that's how that went. Right. Okay, movie's over.
Movie's over, movie. Yeah, I mean, I definitely liked this, but I sort of expected it to be just a different story. There are definitely some places where I felt like they needed more scenes or an emphasis on one element or another, a stronger emphasis. But yeah, I thought the performances were pretty strong. There were a couple of moments with Elizabeth that I didn't necessarily care for, but
yeah, she's not great. She's probably the weakest actor in the movie.
Yeah, I think she is.
Well, not in the whole movie, because there's a bunch of people in the movie, but of the main cast.
Of the main cast, yeah. We didn't actually give any synopsis for this, but...
Yeah, it's Frankenstein.
It's Frankenstein.
Wasting my time. Yeah. Boris Karloff's in it.
Boris Karloff.
Wasting my time.
Yeah, Boris Karloff, this is the role that really made him... He had been doing plenty of stuff, but this was what, like, set his career on the path that it eventually went.
I'll talk about Frankenstein.
Yeah, okay.
Henry Frankenstein.
Henry Frankenstein, that's Colin Clive.
He doesn't do a ton more.
Really?
Other than this.
He was really good.
He does, like, some romance stuff.
I was going to say, because he's very attractive.
He looks like Herbert West.
A little bit.
From,
Reanimator.
Yeah, Reanimator. So I don't know if Herbert West knew that or if they knew that when he was doing that, but they had to. It looks a lot like him. Right. And, they're, like, mad scientists.
Mad scientisty,
yeah. He came back for Bride of Frankenstein. And then just some other love stuff. It's interesting.
Did he pass away or something?
I don't know. I was just looking at his IMDb.
37. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it
died
sounds
at
like
37. And what did he die from at 37?
He was 30. I don't know. He was 37 when he died, though.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, that explains why he wasn't in a lot of stuff. He was good looking and he did a good job, I thought.
Let's see. We talked about
Edward Van Sloan. Yeah.
He does a bunch of Universal stuff and monster stuff.
The Mummy. Oh, huh.
Yeah, he's like the
Universal had to deal with him probably.
Yeah, probably. He's like the Van Helsing.
Yeah,
of every movie, even kind of this movie.
A little bit, definitely less spirited, but the same place in the story.
Dwight Fry,
who played Fritz. Yeah,
and I didn't realize Fritz was such an asshole.
Yeah, Fritz. For those who don't know, Fritz was the name of the Igor character, the one the guy with kyphosis. So, yeah, he's a total asshole
he's a total fucking asshole
for no reason.
Out of anybody who's a villain, it's that character.
Yeah,
and it doesn't even make sense. No. And that's another reason I was like that particular role and that character, like,
it's usually sympathetic.
You can make sense in your mind of why they're like that.
Yeah,
but you can't make sense of it in the movie. The movie doesn't tell you.
No, why
it's
he's
kind
like
of
that.
A waste of a role, a waste of screen time because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another big problem. His
performance was fine, but yeah, it's not necessary.
Yeah, it's not necessary.
There's a couple of things that he does that are important to the story eventually, but like that's it's not a ton of them.
Yeah, important that he was an asshole.
Yeah, it was important that he was an asshole.
I think that's a very like the disjointedness of the movie. I think that's a big example of it to me. In my mind of the way I think it.
Yeah.
Like would work structurally as a movie.
Yeah.
The Burger Master. There's a character called the Burger Master.
It's like a magistrate. But yeah, it can be either. At least how I saw it is it's Burgomaster or Burgermeister, but they are clearly saying Burgermaster. Clearly saying Burgermaster for that. But he's just a magistrate. So, yeah, what about him? Was he in some stuff?
He's in a bunch of stuff. Nothing I ever heard, but a ton of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. He was in Cleopatra and Jane Eyre, huh? Yeah. Is this him?
One of them. Yeah, the Burgermaster.
Yeah, okay. And Oliver Twist? Yeah, he's been in a few things.
I just wanted to emphasize that he was the Burger Master.
Yeah, Burger Master.
Oh, that's all. I thought that was funny.
It is funny. So do you want to talk about Karloff? All the thousands of movies that Karloff was in?
No point.
Okay. Yeah.
Skip it. You can look it up.
Yeah, you can look it up. He's in a ton of stuff.
You already know about it.
Yeah, for sure. If I knew that you weren't going to do it, I would have prepared something, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, why do I got to do it? You do it. I want to talk about all that.
Because you always do that. You always do that
stuff. How's it? Boris Karloff can suck my dick or whatever.
Right, Boris Karloff. From Ed Wood.
Karloff can suck my cock or something.
Oh, man. So, actually, that's a pretty weirdly good transition for one thing I did want to mention. Oh, yeah, there were always crossovers, yeah. Or double features.
Yeah.
They did a lot of double features between Frankenstein and Dracula, if you weren't aware. But that's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say was originally, at some point at least, they offered that role to Boris Karloff. Or sorry, they offered that role to Bela Lugosi. They wanted Bela Lugosi to be the monster. But I guess he was put off by the fact that the character had no lines. He didn't want... he didn't want to sort of become a movie monster. He wanted to become, he wanted to do real acting stuff. And he was afraid he would get, like, sort of pigeonholed into this role as, like, a nameless monster and have to always be in, terrible costumes and prosthetics and all of this stuff. So he turned it down, which apparently he regretted quite a bit because Boris Karloff, was able to, still do many roles that weren't, completely without lines and so forth. But they were in a movie together. They did do one movie together, right? Do you remember?
No.
No? Okay.
I think White Zombie?
Yeah, might have been White Zombie.
I can look it up.
I think it's White Zombie.
But after years and years of not seeing Frankenstein,
Yeah.
I'd have to say Lugosi did the right thing, because this was not as good of a movie as Dracula.
No, absolutely not.
And it's fucked up that they're compared, and people aren't just like, yeah, this is not as good as that. Like, it's a fine movie.
Right.
And especially higher than the caliber of movies we watch sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's still, like, I don't know, and maybe I'm just biased about it. Like, I'm sure there has to be people that are like, no, Frankenstein's better. But I'm sure there are. I'm not that person.
Me neither. I did like this. It is iconic and classic, and I liked it for that particular reason. But it definitely has some very major, problems. They're not like plot holes or anything like that, but like as far as the whole pantheon,
there's a lot of science that doesn't make sense.
Oh, of course, but that's well, they don't even try to go into that hardly.
That's the thing. It's a science-based movie,
right?
Where Dracula is mythical.
Right.
So they don't need to like have any kind of science. And
right, exactly.
Crazy shit in this.
Oh yeah.
To make up the logic of the movie.
Yeah, it's true. It's just that Dracula definitely, and maybe my recollection is wrong. I mean, maybe we could do Dracula one of these times and start doing the Universal Dracula movies. I have too. I've seen it a bunch of times, but my memory of it is that it had much more of an idea of what it was doing. It knew the movie it wanted to be, even though
they made it twice.
Yeah, it's true. The Spanish version, the Spanish language version, it's the Mexican version of it. I have not seen it, but it's supposed to be even better than.
And it's a completely different cast. Same movie, different
cast. Yeah. But it's supposed to be possibly even better than the Bela Lugosi one. So if you have not seen that one, as I have not, and will eventually review for sure.
I've seen it.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, did you like it better than the Lugosi one?
No, because I can understand them, but
oh god,
I don't speak any Spanish. But it was very good.
But yeah, so Dracula seemed like it knew what it wanted to be and what it wanted to do. And this movie did have a few moments where it definitely like was not sure what the main point of what it was trying to do.
That's the biggest thing for me.
Some of the scenes feel like they're not necessarily unnecessary, but they're being pitched in the wrong direction, sort of. I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, I kind of wonder how this got as big as it did, other than, that Frankenstein's monster looked so good and probably was terrifying to people at that point. But beyond that, it's just not as strong of a movie. Like, the script is not as strong. It doesn't hit the notes that it really should or would want to hit to make it like a really memorable, iconic movie. So I guess it must have just been on the back of, Bela Lugosi's God damn it. I keep doing that. On the back of Boris Karloff's performance, which of course is good, as well as Clive. What's his name? Clive. The Henry Frankenstein, the Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, Clive something. I can't remember.
Yeah, but yeah, both of those performances are very, very strong.
But I agree with your original statement. I think the fact that it was double featured
with Dracula
is probably why.
You think so?
So it did ride on the back of Lugosi. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Hack. No, I like Boris Karloff. It's just funny.
Yeah, he's been in some great stuff.
Make fun of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny to make fun of an incredibly old dead man to me.
And successful.
It cheers me up. Apparently.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about this one, or?
No, I could. This is the type of movie you could talk about forever. There's so much.
There's so much
history.
To go into,
there's so much in the look, but
mm-hmm.
nothing that I need to talk about.
Yeah. Did the director do anything else?
Oh, I didn't even look.
Okay.
I was too busy looking at Boris Karloff's
many
credits.
roles. Yeah.
And I still can't figure out which movie it was. I don't think it was
two of them.
White Zombie.
I feel like there might have been. I can't remember. I won't even say it because I can't remember for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I was just. This is good. This is a good monster movie. It's
the Old Dark House from 1932. The Invisible Man.
Oh, The Invisible Man.
Bride of Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. There's other stuff. I'm just skipping.
This is the director, by the way.
I'm just skipping stuff that.
Oh, Green Hell. He did Green Hell.
Green Hell, and that's close to it.
Most of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that guy did some stuff. What's his name again?
The director's name?
James Whale, that's right. I commented that on that when we were watching it.
That's pretty funny.
So, yeah, I don't know. This is definitely good. I am excited. Hopefully we will be able to get our hands on copies of the later movies. I've never seen Bride of Frankenstein.
I've never seen Bride of Frankenstein either.
I've seen parts. I think I've seen clips, the same clips that everybody sees of that. Oh, one thing I wanted to note. Yeah. Frankenstein isn't in very much of that movie.
Not really. We've all seen
the
that
monster.
Rob...
Sorry, the monster.
We've all seen that Rob Zombie music video.
Is that in one of the...
I don't know. I think it is. I could be wrong. I don't know. Okay. I figure you'd know.
No.
Yeah.
I probably never listened to Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
You mean White Zombie?
Yeah, White Zombie. Frankenstein. Yeah, Frankenstein's not in it a ton.
No.
And doesn't do...
He's not in it, but yeah, no, they don't do the thing... Like, and probably some of this memory is implanted from young Frankenstein, but they definitely don't do the things where they're trying to teach it to be like a human so much.
Yeah, there's not anything like that in the movie. From all kinds of media.
Yeah, it's been done since a
very big
lot,
trope,
yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it happens in one of the other movies.
Yeah,
because there's still Son of Frankenstein and
there's a
Bride of Frankenstein and
Son of Frankenstein is supposed to be kind of good too.
Frankenstein meets the werewolf and
right.
Dwight Fry's in a lot of these.
Oh yeah,
The Ghost of Frankenstein.
Oh wow. Yeah, I knew there's a ton of those. They made a ton of...
I think Dwight Fry might be in the most Frankenstein movies.
Really?
It seems like it.
That's crazy. Yeah, so that's, I guess that's our review. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or?
No, there's just so many Frankensteins.
Yeah.
That's all.
This was a much more simple movie than I remember from, like, other iterations and other lore from the Frankenstein, like universe or whatever you want to call it. I think it's good on the level that it's simple and it does what it's supposed to do, kind of. I think modern audiences would appreciate it because it does look really good and whatever in certain capacities, but I think that you would also be surprised by how simple the story is compared to how complex it becomes later, even though, like, every movie that I have seen is basically that movie, just with more details filled in and with more emotion brought into the story. So, it unlike with some other series, like, The Mummy and stuff like that, where something different is happening in every movie, I feel like they just pretty much redo the same story with a different... Kind of, with the Frankenstein movies. So... It's kind of interesting in that way. I mean, but again, I haven't seen any of the other Universal ones as far as I know. And there are a few others that I have seen from other things. I couldn't tell you which ones they were. I know I saw House of Frankenstein, and I know I really liked House of Frankenstein.
That's Hammer, right?
Possibly, yeah. I can't remember, and there's a few others that I've seen. But yeah, I don't know. Who would you suggest this one for?
This is a tough one. I feel like if you're not really into the Universal monster or like 1930 film aesthetic and stuff like that, you might pass on it.
Really?
Like, I don't like. I feel more comfortable recommending like Dracula or something like this. Somebody like. Because that's a really good movie if you actually sit there and pay attention. Yeah. I think this is less good the more you pay attention.
It's so simple. The story is just so simple. Yeah, I think I would suggest it probably to more people. If you have any interest in any Frankenstein lore, you should watch this.
Yeah, it's not long.
No, it's
easy
not
to
long.
watch.
Yeah, it's pretty digestible. The pacing it's a tad slow, but it's pretty good. And, the performances all around are very good, other than maybe Catherine, the fiancé.
Yeah, she's not bad.
And no, she's definitely not bad. She's just, like, a little bit outclassed with the rest of the cast. Yeah, anybody into 30s cinema, Universal horror, anything like that. If you are interested, if you've ever thought about watching it, I would suggest you did. It's not a huge time sink, and it's
it's not bad at all.
No, there's nothing wrong with
making it sound worse than it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm just comparing it really hard to Dracula.
Yeah.
And I'll be comparing Frankenstein and Dracula to like The Mummy when we watch it.
Yeah.
And the Bride of
Frankenstein
when we watch it, and and like The Invisible Man.
Yeah, all of those.
Whenever we get to that.
Sam wants to watch all of the Universal horror movies, and I am not opposed to that idea, other than that we don't have them all and they're expensive.
They're not expensive.
Do they have a Universal pack that's...
Probably. They're just weird to find.
Yeah, some of them are really, really hard to find. I'm sure they've all been put on DVD at some point, but...
And they definitely were on many VHS sets.
Many VHS sets. And we have a VHS player because it's the 1980s up in both of our houses, so... Yeah. So that's our review of Frankenstein from 1931. So the other movie that we wanted to talk about today is The Phantom of the Opera from 1925. This was another Silent Sunday selection back when I was able to do those. But you run out of silent horror films pretty quickly. So, this stars Lon Chaney, who you probably heard the name thrown around. He was a very big silent film actor, especially in horror stuff. So, Sam, what did you think about The Phantom of the Opera?
I really liked it. From 1925.
25. Yeah.
I really liked Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. So I know Phantom of the Opera is a very recognizable title, but it's probably a little bit less, the actual story is probably a little bit less known than Frankenstein, so I'll briefly go over it. So it takes place in an opera house in France and involves a little-known singer named Christine. While she's working with the troupe, the opera house begins receiving letters threatening disaster if Christine is not made the lead for their productions. Now, these letters are signed The Phantom, playing into the rumors that the place is haunted. So what did you think about Lon Chaney's performance?
It's great.
It really is. Lon Chaney does a wonderful job, both in his performance and his makeup for the role, which he was well known for doing himself with a level of excellence not known at the time. At this point in history, and this still happens in theater for the most part, live theater. You're expected to do your own makeup, but people, they just didn't do the sort of makeup. They didn't do full on crazy, jobs with it. They're just like, okay, I'm supposed to be like, monstery person. I'll put like dark shadows under my eyes and like maybe emphasize my cheekbones a little bit. Like that, Lon Chaney went above and beyond with that. And he's well known for that. He was known as the man with 1,000 faces because of that. This is probably his most recognizable role in look, except for, of course, the look he donned as the hypnotist in London After Midnight, which is the most sought-after lost film in cinema history. If you are not familiar with it, I do suggest you look up something about it, because it will make you it will destroy your heart to know that this movie doesn't exist. It does look incredible. So, but we'll never know. So whether or not you know Lon Chaney, you've almost certainly seen a photo of one of the two of those roles. He was also in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Again, great makeup. And he had a penchant apparently for playing sympathetic villains. I have no idea whether the London After Midnight one was supposed to be sympathetic. I actually have not read the script for that, because I think you can find that online. But it would just make me more depressed and more wanting to see the movie that I can't see. So, lost cinema. Huh, Samuel?
Yeah.
Do you want to see London After Midnight?
No.
No? You don't want to see London After Midnight? You're terrible. Why?
Because you can't.
I know, but if you could, would you want to see it?
Yeah, I guess.
You're the worst. You're the worst. How dare you call yourself a horror reviewer?
I don't.
But you are, though. You're doing it.
But I don't call myself that. That'd be weird. Who would do that?
So, what did you think about the makeup? What did you think about his
it's really good.
Looks?
I like Lon Chaney Jr.
Not Jr.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Lon Chaney.
Yeah. Lon Chaney Jr. is also an actor who also did stuff like
this. And Lon Chaney actually didn't do much after this. He died...
Yeah.
In 1930, at the age of 47.
The ripe old age of 47. Mm-hmm. 37 was the director of
that last one.
That last one. So, oof.
So there's not, there's not a ton, like he has a lot of credits, and
Yeah. Ooh,
a lot of it
movies.
is silent stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably super hard to find, or like 5 seconds long.
Right, yeah.
A lot of shorts at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I only know him from a few roles. Yeah. But he's super good in this.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, he's in Hunchback of Notre Dame, he's in London After Midnight, which nobody can watch, so.
Yeah, so you don't know how his performance is in that.
Didn't he play like a weird frog guy in some movie?
Maybe.
I feel like that was another one that I've seen his makeup in that was really good, but I could be totally wrong. I can't remember. Oh, he was in The Blackbird? Okay. Yeah.
But anyways, my point being, yeah, he's super good in this. His makeup's super good.
Yeah, it is. Oof, yeah, that was really close to when he died, yeah. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, his son went on in his tradition and did a lot of horror stuff. I know he did some of the Wolfman movies, right? You don't have to look him up, it's fine. But
Wolfman? Yeah, Wolfman.
Yeah, he did some Wolfman stuff, I think, and some other stuff. He's supposed to be good as well. I don't know that I've actually ever seen a Lon Chaney Jr. movie.
I'm not sure if I have either.
But yeah, I don't know. He's supposed to be pretty good. Oh yeah.
We'll get to it.
Maybe. We will definitly get to it.
Maybe
definitely get to it.
We might maybe definitely get there.
So the filming in this is pretty straightforward. Much like most of the silent era stuff, it's mostly fixed camera positions, and allowing the sets to do the heavy lifting. Much as the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari did, although these sets are not stylistic in the same way, they're pretty realistic to real life. The Opera House is lavish. It's styled after the Palais Garnier, where the novel, the original source material, took place. By contrast, the lair of the Phantom is stark and bare, with hulking stone arches and columns. Both looks are fabulous and build great atmosphere. What did you feel about them?
They're awesome.
Yeah.
They're a big part of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like the movie wouldn't be quite as good without them.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's part of the charm of this.
Yeah,
sure.
It sets the mood really well.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
gothic horror looking.
It gives you kind of a feeling of the atmosphere and what like the characters might think about things.
Right.
And so on.
Yeah. So the plot plays out in a way that is remarkably similar to modern, versions of this, which I was sort of surprised by. Much like, Frankenstein, of course, is it's similar. It's just kind of the bone structure of the Frankenstein lore. This one felt like it pretty much did all of the same stuff. There are a few things that get a little confusing at times, probably due to the 3 different directors and the many cuts of this film that were made before the final release of it. But these sections were pretty minor and easily forgotten. I just thought it was kind of weird how enduring this story is in this form. Like, right. So many of the details are similar. So many of the way things are laid out and the sympathetic villain thing. I assumed again that in Frankenstein he would be like, I don't know whether you could even call him a sympathetic villain because he's not really a villain, but a sympathetic character that people villainize, I guess. Right. And this again is a sympathetic villain character, and I kind of thought maybe he would just be a monster in this one, would just be some crazy person, right?
Right.
But he really isn't.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So the acting was pretty good, though there are some moments when I really disliked Christine for the way that she behaved. That has really nothing to do with her acting. She was great. This was actually played by Mary Philbin, who was the actor who played the female lead in The Man Who Laughs. You remember her? Mm-hmm. And I loved her in that. The problems with this are due to, I'm sure, what they wanted her to do, and some of her plot, some of her plot progression. So Ledoux, who is a supporting character, is played by Arthur Edmund Carew of The Cat and the Canary, who is actually another Dracula connection. He was considered to play Dracula in the 1931 production of the film that Bela Lugosi went on to play. So, his role is small but really memorable, and his character really draws the eye. I remember just completely fixating on his character. I just wanted to know everything about him. Unfortunately, I think he also died very young. I think he died like a couple of years after this, maybe. But yeah, he was really good. What did you think about the acting? Was there anything that you didn't like?
No, I liked all the acting in this.
Uh-huh.
I think that's one of the strongest things. I think this movie's not like very great in a lot of ways, but it's very good in almost every way.
Okay. There's nothing that stands out, but it's so solid all
around.
That
it's hard. Like, for me personally, it's hard for me not to like. I could see somebody being bugged with the pacing of it.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's some slow portions.
Yeah.
But I liked most of those slow portions because they were usually showing you something.
Right.
And like the architecture is a big part of that.
Yeah.
There's big parts that are like seemingly scenery-esque shots of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me.
Yeah. So Lon Chaney was incredible, of course, in a way that would be really hard to describe briefly. But so this is silent, as we mentioned. So having a character that's wearing a mask, and in this one, it's not a half mask; it's a whole mask for most of the movie. It's really incredible. His movements are very fluid when he speaks with Christine, and erratic when he's angry. So even though his face is covered for most of it, you have no trouble understanding his character. And I just love performances like that. I wish we still had, if silent cinema was like still kind of a thing that happened occasionally. I'm not saying every theater should be playing a silent movie every week, but I would really enjoy seeing how modern actors were able to handle that. You're never going to get that anymore. There's just something about it. And I understand that it's a limitation and an unnecessary one at this point, but you can add so much to there's so much that you can do that you can't do without silence. You know what I mean? It's like, putting a movie into black and white now, which does still happen occasionally. Or whatever the limitation is. There have been a number of movies that I have seen where the villain does not speak. And in fact, we've reviewed a couple of them, and I probably didn't say which movies they were because it's usually a spoiler that they don't ever speak. Mm-hmm. But seeing like an entire performance where somebody is completely silent is really kind of, I don't know. It's a steep limitation. So you have to be very, very thoughtful, I guess, is the thing for it. I don't know. It's just a weird thing for me. One of my favorite parts of movies. I love a very strong, meaty story. I've mentioned that 58 times, but seeing really good acting performances is something that I also really appreciate, and is one of the things that will earn you more points in a movie that I'm watching personally.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a lost art.
It is, yeah. So many actors that are so popular these days are just kind of garbage, and they don't need to be anything else because they have good people working around them that can. It's like if you're in a musical and somebody's dancing around you and everybody's like, oh, he was such a great dancer. I'm like, he didn't dance. He shuffled in the direction of the actress who was dancing around him. Like, I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about a lot of modern actors. Not all of them. There are some great actors in our time for sure. But a lot of really popular, successful people who are making, millions and millions of dollars every single film that they do are kind of crap. And I'm not that's not a shocking statement. I'm not the only one who knows that. But I don't know. It's sort of disappointing. You really couldn't do that back in the silent film era very much, unless you were just one of those background players who was in every movie.
They were the crap players.
The crap players, yeah.
Crap round players.
Yeah, the crap round players. So when audiences saw the reveal of Lon Chaney's actual, face in this, people reportedly screamed and fainted in theaters, which, I mean, it definitely is kind of, he looks crazy. Don't get me wrong, he does. But it definitely looks a lot more mundane these days. So imagine what it would take to make people scream and faint in a movie these days. Can you think of anything, Sam?
I don't know.
Yeah. But you have to really appreciate that was such a shocking thing. And that's, again, it goes more towards it speaks to the talent of Lon Chaney and his makeup for sure. I honestly think without that makeup, I don't know how sort of well this movie would have survived through the times. I mean, I think people would enjoy it on the same level that, people enjoy other movies, but it's sort of iconic in silent films. It's one of the three.
In a way, it probably helps cement a legacy.
Yeah.
But in the same way, not only does the makeup look good, the filming looks good.
Oh, yeah.
Even
the sets are good.
Lon Chaney's, there's a few scenes where Lon Chaney's not in makeup in this.
Yeah.
And it's still shot really well. The look of what he's wearing.
Yeah.
Even when when you can't see
his face.
Yeah, the Phantom's face is really good. I just think it's a really well put together movie. It's hard to.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to shake that in any way.
But it was sort of a sensation,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it would be a sensation. I think it would be looked upon as this is a great example of it wouldn't
It'd be more of a classic.
Yeah, it wouldn't be mentioned in the same breath as Nosferatu and stuff like that in the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which I think it still kind of almost isn't. But it's right up there. It's number 4, number 5 maybe
I
on
don't
all
know.
the lists.
Yeah, I guess so. The makeup's really good, but I still think all the other visuals in the movie are really strong too.
They are. They're legitimately. It's all very strong. There's no part of this movie that really falls down. Like I said, Christine annoys me sometimes. Again, not due to Mary Philbin's performance. She's great, but just the way that they play that character, and that's kind of in everything. A little bit. I'm always a little annoyed with Christine, usually, in any Phantom of the Opera type media, but I don't know.
Yeah, but she's kind of an asshole, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I think she's less of an asshole in a lot of different iterations of this, but...
Yeah, I think so, too.
Still.
This movie's is actually, kind of everybody's an asshole.
Yeah.
Which is another reason I like the movie.
Yeah.
Is kind of everybody in the situation is kind of an asshole.
Yeah. There's nobody that you're rooting for winning.
Yeah, there really isn't.
Yeah.
Even when you root for Christine, you're like, oh yeah, but...
Except for that she's kind of an asshole.
And same with the Phantom, and same with the other character.
The other characters, yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to say about this one?
No, I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Yeah, do you think it's better than the Frankenstein?
Oh, easily.
Yeah, okay.
Easily. In my opinion, in my preference.
I think they appeal to different audiences, but I think I definitely like it better as well.
This has more substance and knows what it wants to say.
Yeah. Which is funny considering how much of a camel this movie is,
oh, yeah.
All cut to ribbons and everything.
Lon Chaney got a director credit.
Oh, that's right. He did direct part of it, yeah.
But yeah, it just... The movie knew what it wanted to be, knew the message. Yeah. And it really does that, and really you really feel that in the movie and in the scenes, and you feel what the movie's about. Yeah. And that's really good, Yeah. Especially with no dialogue.
Yes, yeah. Which is so hard to portray, well. So who would you suggest this movie to?
Not a lot of people, because it's a silent film.
Yeah.
And most people don't like silent films. But
I know, because they're garbage people.
Anybody who likes silent films, and if you like silent films and haven't seen this already, you should watch it.
Yeah, it's true. If you like silent films or silent horror, this is a no-brainer. You really should have seen it already. But I don't think a lot of people necessarily think of Phantom of the Opera as a at least modern versions. I don't think they think of it as a horror thing as much as they think of it as a romance thing. This one is a bit more of a horror thing, I think, than some other versions of this story. So yeah, if you're interested,
it's much more horror than romance. It still has that aspect.
It does.
There are some that are straight romance, and people would argue that's pretty much is what Beauty and the Beast is.
Yes,
Phantom of the Opera, and that's definitely more romantic.
Yes,
than this movie. Every version.
Yes, yeah. There's also, I felt like I feel like in a lot of these movies they don't necessarily play up the emotions in the same way that other later cinema does. They gloss over in a lot of movies some of the way people would feel and stuff about the situation. And I feel like this one didn't really do that, which is funny because this is 1925.
It did in some respects.
Yeah.
And which is one of the things I like about the movie. I feel like it did a really good balance in between the two of acknowledging what people should be feeling at what points.
Yeah.
And then glossing over them at other points.
That's probably true.
Kind of showing like the pig-headedness and stubbornness of the characters.
Yes.
Because every character in this movie wants something different and gives a shit
what
anybody else wants.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that makes it that much better in my mind.
Yeah.
Because it just reminds me of
true.
like how people are. They give a fuck about how anybody else feels about what they're trying to accomplish.
Right, they're gonna get theirs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I did feel like some of the moments with the Phantom were really poignant, and like they weren't trying to pull punches on how that plays out.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is the most important one not to pull a punch on, to me personally. Like that's the one that you really need to slug them with.
He's in the title.
Yeah,
so
it's true. Yeah, but it was just sort of surprising to me because I expected them to gloss over it and him just to be like, rah.
And that's kind of how Frankenstein was.
Yes, exactly. And that's how a lot of the other ones.
And I think this is the opposite, and I think that's what makes it just more
poignant
focused and more poignant and more
relatable because they're acknowledging like this is sad. This stuff is shitty.
Yeah, even
Life
though no
sucks.
one else cares.
Yeah, even though nobody else cares. Yeah. So yeah. I would suggest this. Anybody who's ever thought of watching a silent film, this is not a bad one to go with. I don't think it's necessarily the first one you have to watch, but it's top 10 easily of silent films I think you should watch. It might be the second one. The first one is The Man Who Laughs, which nobody cares about or talks about, and that one is the best silent film I have ever seen. And one of my top probably 10 or 15 movies from the whole thing, and it was day 7.
Very good.
Yeah. See, and that's another one where they play up the sympathy for the characters. That one is very strong. But that one's less of a horror movie. I think maybe it's horror. They don't want you to be sympathetic of something that you're like there to see die or whatever.
I can't tell you.
I don't know. Sorry. I like to
get real existential.
Yeah, I really do. So, but yeah, if you're interested in silent films and all of that, and you can find this for free legally on YouTube. It is out of copyright. It has been for some time now. But it's also often on those horror packs. So if you've skipped seeing that, if you've skipped seeing that on your 50 movie,
pack for the 100th time.
For the 100th time because you
watch if you have the time.
Because you didn't think it was a horror movie.
It's actually a longer movie than those other, or a longer movie than Frankenstein 2.
Oh, that's true. It is. Yeah.
But I feel like it's filled with more.
Yeah, there is more.
It's worth the time.
They really do kind of flesh out their characters pretty well. Better than they feel like they do. Where like this is the girl character, this is the boy character, this is the thing character, which is it's something that you found a lot in.
Hold up, this guy's the doctor.
Yeah, exactly. This is the doctor. This is the doctor's colleague. This is the whatever.
Doctor's colleague.
Yeah, I know, right?
That classic role.
It is. It is a classic role.
Yeah, I said that.
Anyway, but yeah, the characters are a little more fleshed out than you usually find in. It's just a more complex story, and it's funny that they were able to even tell as complex a story of this well without sound, without vocal performances at all. So yeah, I guess that's our review of The Phantom of the Opera from 1925, and that's our show. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please rate, review, subscribe, or whatever it is on whatever site you found it. The best thing that you can do to help out the show is to share it with somebody that you love or that you think would enjoy, this show talking about horror movies or whatever. If you would like to reach out to us, you can do so at reclusehorror@gmail.com. I'm still looking for suggestions for any kind of ghost or haunting related movies that are worth a damn. So yes, anything that's different than the standard, crappy ghost movie, I would really be interested in hearing about. If you didn't like the platform that you found this on, or if you want to share it with somebody who doesn't have like your same device that you listen on, we are available on YouTube, Player FM, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, and pretty much any podcatcher. Sam, what is your rating for The Phantom of the Opera?
Can I give it 138 Crimson Skulls?
Yes, you can. 138 Crimson Skulls.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to rate Frankenstein? Sometimes you do.
A bunch of Frankensteins.
A bunch of Frankensteins.
All of them are Frankensteins, technically.
Yeah. All of them.
The dad's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
The bride is Frankenstein.
Eventually
the son
going
is
to be.
Frankenstein.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The son's Frankenstein. They're all Frankensteins.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Oh, man.
That's true.
It is true. It's not wrong. Well, thank you for listening, and goodbye. Sam, say goodbye.
Bye.